What folklore creature do you think really exists?
Silent scan.
The Wulva. Scottish werewolf, except it wasn't a shapeshifter, was never a human, said to be peaceful, as long as it was left alone, helped lost travelers, and was known to leave fish for poor families. Was almost certainly just a guy with hypertrichosis.
Silent scan.
New York City sewer alligators. In the early 20th century, small alligators as pets were apparently a popular thing among kids, and when they started to get too big, parents allegedly disposed of them by throwing them down the drain/into the sewers, like dead goldfish. I can totally see them living off the massive sewer rats and growing to be a decent size, and a dark, dank, muddy environment like the New York City underground seems like a viable habitat for them. They were also the inspiration for Doc Connors from Spider-Man.
Silent scan.
I guess all my countrymen are still asleep down in the southern hemisphere, so no one's posted it. But the minimum lights are definitely something real and more than just something you can blow off. Yowies are also probably out there, along with other things. Australia, same as Canada, is so big and so uninhabited that, at least to me, it's really not that hard to accept that there are things out there that we don't know about. I mean, for all we know, maybe these creatures are subterranean and are rarely on the surface.
Silent scan.
The two I think are most likely the kraken. Giant squid have finally been conclusively proven to exist in the last decade or so. It's not beyond belief an even larger variety is out there, or was still extant in the age of sailing. The other is Bigfoot/Sasquatch. While the most well-known sighting/recording has been proven a hoax, the stories of them go back hundreds of years in native tribes. The description is not that far off from the Gigantopithecus that once really did exist. While it seems unlikely a sustainable breeding population of those could have remained alive this long, it's not *impossible*. We've rediscovered other species thought extinct, and the Pacific Northwest is huge and there are a lot of very remote forests. I'm a lot more dubious of this one, but these are the two that seem the most plausible to me. Edit. I've been told multiple times that the Patterson film was not disproven, so I stand corrected on that. For some reason I thought I heard he recanted it as a hoax, but I'm in error.
Silent scan.
That Japanese creature with an eye on his butthole that runs up to you and moons you while looking at you. Shirime is a strange K with an eye in the place of his anus. The story goes as follows. Long ago, a samurai was walking at night down the road to Kaito when he heard someone calling out for him to wait. "Who's there?" he asked nervously, only to turn around and find a man stripping off his clothes and pointing his bare buttocks at the flabbergasted traveler. A huge glittering eye then opened up where the strange man's anus should have been.
Silent scan.
As a form of a traditional demon, the Baba Yaga, a witch Slavic folklore, had an "imaginary friend named Baba Witch that lived in my barn when I was little. One time I was playing with it and got locked in a room with no lock. I screamed for nearly 30 minutes before my mom got me out. Fast forward a few years, and I had gotten these things called "creature cards," which were like big cards with pictures and facts about animals and monsters and stuff. When I saw the Baba Yaga, it looked almost exactly how I'd imagined Baba Witch. Fast forward to now, it all kind of clicked for me.
Silent scan.
Fairies. The northern European kind. I live and work in the woods. I end up places where people simply don't go, helicopter in and out kinds of forests. There's something out here I don't understand, but it certainly seems to understand me. I wear a sock inside out every day 'cause of it, a trick my nan taught me. Always wear a piece of clothing inside out, or the fairies will take you. I don't fuck with the fairies.
Silent scan.
Considering the fact that we've recorded massive sea creatures moving faster and deeper than anything we know on sonar, along with the fact that we've explored, what is it, less than 2% of the ocean? We are also finding new sea creatures every single day. I realize that sounds far-fetched, but this is all at the top of my head, and from what I've heard from a number of sources. Whether they were all reliable or not, I honestly cannot recall. I think it's possible there's some big shit down there. Oh, and as someone else mentioned, shit in the deep woods. Not many people have gone to where I'm talking about. Even those that go miles into the woods stay on well-preserved trails. So how do we know there isn't shit miles into nowhere?
Silent scan.
That toucan that drinks all those pints of Guinness. He's out there, irresponsibly flying while intoxicated, catcalling some seagulls, shitting in the bushes. Gotta watch out for him.
Silent scan.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to get even more awesome content. Come on, it just takes 1 second.
Silent scan.
El Chupacabra, it could very possibly be real. It really is not that crazy of a creature. I'm as for cryptozoology as the next guy, but I actually heard about a possible explanation for the Chupacabra. It's a coyote or some type of canine with scabies, mange, so they lose all their hair and start acting odd. There also have been people who released inbred dogs for hunting purposes, see Texas Blue Dog, that were also called chupacabras. So those are possible answers for the Chupacabra. Though, it doesn't fit the bipedal versions. Cue dramatic music and lens flare.
Silent scan.
Copaconan. It is an fairies myth. I think it would be really cool to go and hide in one of the fjords of Kalsoy, means Man's Island, on the 13th night and watch as the seals get up on the rocks and shed their skin. Transition isn't really clear in that, and turn into beautiful people, and to watch them dance the night away, then go back into the sea after getting back into their skin. It is one of my favorite. The darker part of the myth states that because the seal woman was betrayed by a man who took her skin, so she couldn't put it back on and return to the sea, she placed a curse on the men of Kalsoy. This curse says that men will fall off the cliffs of the island until they are able to link their arms and make a ring around the island. And the scary part? Deaths like that are still being reported to this very day. So don't steal the skin of an attractive seal woman dancing in a fjord.
Silent scan.
The Lusca. For one, people have disappeared in the blue holes on the Bahamas Islands for a long time. They are connected to the ocean by long and winding caves that sharks can't fit through. Only an octopus could. People are dragged down with no bite marks, no blood in the water, and no remains to be found. And then, this happened. On January 18th, 2011, the body of what appeared to witnesses to be a giant octopus washed ashore on Grand Bahama Island in the Bahamas. According to eyewitness reports, the remains seemed to represent only a portion of the head and mouth parts of the original creature. Based on their knowledge of octopus morphology, local fishermen estimated the total size of the creature when living to be some 20 to 30 feet, 6 to 9 meters.
Silent scan.
I have a story about those, actually. There's a local legend in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which involves a mysterious and supposedly deadly sort of otherworldly creature. Some versions claim that it's a man-like shapeshifter, capable of blending in with the shadows as it stalks through the desert. Others describe the beast as being curiously canine in nature, albeit with 2 long limbs, black claws, and eyes that seem to burn like pinprick embers in the darkness. One thing that remains the same through every retelling, though, is the high and eerie keening noise it's said to make when it hunts down its prey. One evening when I was about 11 years old, I heard it. I had been lying in bed, reading beneath my covers with a flashlight, when a mournful howl pierced the air from somewhere across the moonlit sands. My first thought was that it had been a coyote, but as the sound echoed through the night for a second time, I felt a shiver of panic flash up my spine and a deep weight of dread coalesce in my chest. That evil wail was not the call of anything I had ever encountered, nor of something that should have even existed in the waking world. It was the cry of a nightmare incarnate, and no amount of reason or rationality could shake me of that notion. Now, at around the same time as this story, I'd been doing my best to foster a reputation for being an independent and unflappable badass. That goal went swiftly out the window as the screeches seemed to draw ever closer, and I quickly ran from my room to seek the protection of my parents. Upon reaching their door, though, I was presented with an even more terrifying discovery. The howls were coming from inside the house, along with a lot of heavy breathing and the occasional whisper. I couldn't look my mother in the eye for a week. Fucking skinwalkers.
Silent scan.
Shadow people. I had an experience when I was in high school that made me believe. I told this story before, but this was at my friend's apartment building, which his parents owned. It was a pretty old building in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago, and according to his dad it used to be owned by Al Capone, but I'm not sure how true that was. We had an apartment on the top floor that they let us use to just hang out, and it allowed us easy access to the roof so we could go smoke cigarettes. One night, we were about to go up, but I had to pee, so I told him I'd meet him up there. After I was done, I went up the stairs to the attic portion that was connected to the roof. There were no lights, so we always used our phones to guide us. We had those old flip phones without lights, so you only had the light from the screen to help navigate the cluttered mess that was up there. As I made my way to the roof door, I saw a shadow pass by me. Now this wasn't like the shadow of something moving with the light of my phone. This shadow felt solid like a person. I followed the direction it went thinking it was my friend. I kept saying that I knew it was him and to stop playing around. It passed me a few more times before heading to the other side of the attic, and that's when I heard my friend's voice from downstairs. He got a call from his girlfriend and was in another room talking to her the whole time. I have no idea what that shadow figure was, but it really freaked me out, and I told my friend what happened, and that I did not want to go back up there.
Silent scan.
Well used to exist, but giants. Too many ancient stories from completely independent cultural and ethnic groups globally to completely deny the possibility in my mind. In the not so distant past we had giant sloths, giant bears, giant cats, giant just about every other animal. Humans are animals, so remains a possibility to me that there were giant hominids as well.
Silent scan.
Bigfoot or the Yeti or the abominable snowman. There's just so much of our Earth we have yet to explore. Mountains upon mountains of dangerous caves, winding trails, snowfalls, and giant ice blocks on Mount Everest where people fall to their death to never have their bodies recovered. Or even the Leviathan. A large sea creature from the time of the dinosaurs. I mean, we have sperm whales and we now know that giant squid exist, so I think it's possible, at least plausible. Plus there's so much about ocean we still haven't even explored yet. So many crevices and cracks in places where things could hide for millennia you'd never know.
Silent scan.
Danny DeVito.
Silent scan.
Congratulations, you reached the end of this awesome video. Now, like and subscribe, like we talked earlier, come on.
Silent scan.